Some people ask me, when you go out to see trains, where do you go and what tells you that a train is coming? The answer, research and learning after previous rail fans. It's November 11th, 2021, and just before 8 a.m. we've arrived at 78th Street in Tampa, Florida. This is the north end of CSX's Yeoman Yard. Yards where many tracks are present are always good places to go. Between yard switchers, trains departing, and trains arriving, yards can be busy places, and today is no exception.
Good morning, everybody. We're stationed here at 78th Street in Tampa, Florida. Behind us is the north end of CSX's Yeoman Yard, and we got a train coming. An AO 2811 has just cleared Valrico Junction, and it's going to be coming in here through YN and now into the yard. This is a loaded rail train. It's got a solo ET44AH up front, and I have a feeling it's probably for the new Ardent Mills grain elevator and spur track being built next to a Big Bend down there. But he just passed Valrico, so let's set up and get him.
The first train of the morning wouldn't be that AO 28, but a yard job departing the yard to work local industries around YN. This answers the second question. Trains get these signals when they are on the move and get permission to occupy the signal block ahead. In this case, a Y192 has just called the dispatcher to depart and has gotten this slow clear signal aspect. Slow speed through the turnouts, then proceed. For some reason, the dispatcher put the rail train into the siding at Valrico to wait on this yard job, giving the 192 clearance to switch on the main. We were set up and waiting when here he came, with a rebuilt Jeep 40-3 up front and a handful of boxcars and trail. After Y192 cleared, we decided to mosey up the S-line towards Valrico Junction. Little did we know that the dispatcher had just turned that AO 2811 loose out of the siding, and by the time we arrived at the junction, he was rolling out. In all, about 10 seconds to set up the tripod and start the camera. When October rolls around, you can almost count on seeing tie and maintenance of way trains down here in the south. CSX likes to have work done in the winter in the south and in the summer in their northern regions. Better weather for the work crews. This is a perfect example. A nowadays rare daylight movement. Those continuous welded rails are slid onto these specially built rail cars in 1,440-foot sections. When the train has reached the job site, the rail is slid out onto the ground next to the existing track using rollers. This mid-train machine is responsible for that operation. This was a really nice catch to begin the morning. We decided to drive locally from Valrico to Plant City, and not hearing much on the radio, we stopped in at Dover. Here's an unfamiliar sight for most spots along the CFL region of CSX. ABS or automatic block signals. These signals only turn on when a train has entered the block ahead of them. Today, signals in both directions were off. I don't know why these are ABS signals and the others are not, but for whatever reason you can always tell. There's a little black number plate on the signal post, meaning it's ABS. This signal is located 7 miles west of Plant City and 16 miles east of Tampa. No trains here, so we kept moving east. Drifting into Lakeland, we found local train 0710 backing up to switch Carpenter Co., a manufacturer in home furniture and carpets. 710 is not usually seen here, and that's because it isn't really 710, it's 0708.
Alright, so behind me we got 0710. This is not a usual customer that he switches. He's usually closer to Kathleen on the Vitus sub. But today, for some reason, they switched 0710s and 0708s train symbols. So he's coming out now, and let's go get him now.
For some reason, 0710 was the ID for 0708's job today, and vice versa for 708. 710 would be working the County Line spur for a while, and hearing Q452 leaving Winston up the Vitus sub, we scurried over to the signals at South Lakeland. The Winston Pass signals were showing a medium approach medium aspect when we arrived. Medium speed through the turnouts, crossovers, and switches, preceding the next signal not exceeding medium speed. The track layout is taking 452 from Winston Pass onto the Vitus sub, which includes going over 5 switches. Looking down the track, we can see the end of 0708, today having the X-chassis shoving platform again. The headlight down there is 452, beginning his journey up the 2-mile hill up to the Vitus sub. With 9,500 feet of freight from Miami, Okeechobee, and now Winston behind, these 2 GEs would be working it up the hill. With the demolition of the old station covering, South Lakeland has become my favorite place to test my zoom lens. You can see all the way from the Winston Pass signals to South Lakeland. Only about 5 minutes pass, and with both locomotives wide open, here comes Q452, hauling up the hill to Lakeland Junction. Scrap metal, rock hoppers, and boxcars make up the front end of 452, with empty autoracks on the tail end. Another thing I love about South Lakeland is a train snaking from right to left as they conquer the hill and onto the Vitus sub. Give it another 5 minutes and another headlight lights up Winston Pass. It's a local coming out of Winston Yard. But looking at the signals, we got all reds at South Lakeland. So what's happening here? Well, with Amtrak 91 departing his station stop in Lakeland and heading to Tampa, the dispatcher is holding this 0719 at South Lakeland for 91 to pass. 0719 is a local that's heading to the CH spur that splits off the main line near the Lakeland Amtrak station. This morning, 0719 would have CSX 2778 on point. This is an ex-Conrail Jeep 38-2, built in June of 1978 as Conrail 8200. Parallel to 719 is Sunny Florida Organics. Those white tank cars are filled with liquefied carbon dioxide, which is a vital ingredient in efficient food preservation. Sunny Organics is a food delivery company, and to keep all of their produce cold and fresh, they use the railroad and CO2. Now the conductor walks outside of the cab of 719 to watch 91 pass. Out of his station stop in Lakeland, 91 would be booking over the hill now. Just before 11:40 a.m., a wave from Mr. Sean, a blow of the horn, and 91 speeds into Tampa. "719, your train looks good. Marker to marker." That's the last we heard of a speeding 91. In seconds, the switches are relined and 0719 gets his medium clear. Medium speed through the turnouts and then proceed. For 719, he's off for the CH spur in Lakeland, but not before his 43-year-old Jeep revs up the hill. After 7:19, it began to rain a bit harder, so we jumped back in the car and ran down to Plant City. Here we expected some action and to sit down for a nice lunch. Pulling into downtown, we have a high green on the S line. This is going to be for 0709, coming back into Yeoman Yard in Tampa. You might ask, why was he out so long today? Well, for about an hour, 709 was switching to Plant City and Nuvia plant in Central. Here he would drop off 5 hopper cars and 2 tank cars and pick up what I presume to be 8 loaded phosphate hoppers. I love to see trains smashing the diamond in downtown, but after walking around for a bit, I decided on this spot, the Wells Fargo parking lot off of South Wheeler Street. The northbound signal is Lake Wales Junction, where the S-line creates a Y with the Plant City sub. This signal is an odd one as it's got an older top head and a modern bottom head and post. Setting up on the grassy embankment, the gates are coming down for 709. With no horn zone signs still covered up, it was nice to hear the cheerful horn of a Jeep locomotive echoing through downtown. After 709 cleared, we stopped in at the Whistle Stop Cafe. The building is from 1896, and when you walk in, you can really feel that small town vibe. With the piano playing in the background, soup and sandwiches were being served up for lunch. Nice people and great food. By the time we had finished lunch, a high green on the A-line signaled the return of Amtrak 91. Although sounding cliche, the horn and waves from an Amtrak in Plant City provides a short moment of just simple and peaceful life in the suburbs. Aaron Carter would be at the helm today, and with a few blasts of the horn and a call out of the interlocking, 91 was through Plant City. It was now just after 1:30, so after talking with some folks at the Diamond, we decided that it had been a busy day and that it should come to a close. Rain was scheduled for the rest of the day, and with nothing else moving in the vicinity, we began to make our way back home. That was the plan until I heard the Drew Park Local 0700 getting ready to switch customers around Waters Avenue. For those of you who are wondering, where do all those auto racks from Q441 go? And where do the auto racks on Q442 get unloaded? Well, here's your answer. Located on Anderson Road and Sly Avenue is Drew Park. This is where all those auto racks to Tampa are being unloaded. Every day, CSX sends a local train from Yeoman up to Drew on the Clearwater sub, where not only the auto racks are unloaded, but where a plethora of other industries are located and switch daily. So it was only about 15 minutes after we pulled up that 0700 pulled out of the Y at Drew and passed us at Sly Avenue. With an engineer, a conductor, and a CSX trainee, CSX 2049, a rebuilt GP38-3, backs onto his train of freight. Instead of coupling onto the cut of auto rack, 700 is now heading up the line to switch the Home Depot distribution center off of Waters Avenue. was now about 4 o'clock, and after leaving the house around 7 a.m., it had been a long day out. I must say though, this was one of our best days yet. Central Florida treated us quite well this day. But until we meet again on our CFL High Iron, this is Christian from Multicolor Films. End of transmission.